Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and if you have watched my videos for any length of time, or you watch my weekly show, and if you do, thank you very much, you know that I am not an easy sell for deck building games. It takes something special for them to draw me in and make me enjoy the game. And so when somebody presents to me their brand new deck building game, I'm always a little hesitant. It's like first I take a look at it. Does it seem like it's got something new? Is it bringing something interesting to the table? Maybe even just good art or a theme. Then I'll take a look at it, and then after that, I'm probably a little more harsh on deck builders than most people are. It's just not a mechanism. It's just not a version of a game that I really enjoy, and so I'm already kind of set up against it, if you will. So imagine my surprise when a designer contacted me and he showed me Empires of Steam, and it said, here's the deck builder. It's set in like Victorian England, but obviously this is steampunk version. So the whole idea is, in the steampunk world, is that yes, it's steam power, but it's like really futuristic steam power. And I enjoy a lot of facets of like the steampunk world. I think it looks cool. I think it has some very, very inspiring art and some very, very good fiction. And I'm waiting for a really good like steampunk movie, if you will. I mean, maybe the genre just isn't popular enough to create that, but I would really like that. But I mean, obviously I've seen anime and things like that are based in that kind of world, and I just like the idea of it a great deal. So I like the idea of it. I asked him to send me a copy. I played it, and I had a lot of fun with it. And it was one of those things where I think it was a perfect marriage of both the theme and the deck building didn't really get in the way of the fun. And I'll explain more about that in my final thoughts. But let me show you how the game is played. And if you play deck builders, you're gonna pretty much know how this is played already. But I'm gonna show you some of the cool things that happen and how this one is a little bit different than one that you might have played recently. So alright, so here's Empires of Steam, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. This is Empires of Steam, and if you've played deck builders before, this whole like big tableau of cards or what have you, this is going to be something that you're going to recognize from other games that you have played. Now, I've shown you every single card that I have, so just keep that in mind here. I just want to be able to, so you can kind of take a look at them. And this is a prototype that I was sent, so these cards are, they don't have the back on them or anything like that. And they aren't of cardstock, they're paper. But the artwork is still really nice, and it's going to look even better on the cards themselves once the actual cardstock is used. And the game was functionally, completely, and totally fine the way it was. So I just keep that in mind as you're watching this, and I invite you to go ahead and check out the game on its Board Game Geek page, and also over on Kickstarter, and you can take a look at the art and a closer view, if you will. Alright, so as I said, the premise behind this is that it is like kind of a steampunky game, which is a theme that I enjoy, and it is a situation where there's new technology that is actually allowing people to use steam engines to put basically their factories, their people, their submarines or ships or whatever, to places they've never been before, including outer space, including in the sky, and of course in the oceans. So the whole point of this game is that you're racing to get the most population points possible built into your empire, which you put in front of you, faster than the other people. The way the game ends, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little quick here, the way the game ends is that there are these Grand Hall cards here. And these Grand Halls, when you build them, and you can see that they're worth 250 points, 250 population points. Once 3 of these have been built by other people as far as in the empires, then then the game is signaled to end, and you're going to total up your points with your population points. Whoever has the most wins. Now, just quickly going over this card, and I'll show you some other ones as well. So there's the picture, obviously, what it is, and then like you can see, it costs 8 coins to purchase, and 250 points, as I said. And you can see here it's a population/maneuver card, meaning that it has a dual purpose. Now, so the way this game works, and what I really like about this, is that as you purchase cards, you put them into your discard pile. Well, not necessarily. Keep that in mind. I'll come back to that. And you get to use them for their ability. So this one says population or +2 maneuvers, and maneuvers are actions. If you've played like games like Dominion, those are actions. And +2 cards, meaning obviously you just draw 2 more cards out of your deck. So this card is very powerful. You get +2 actions, +2 maneuvers, and you get to draw more cards when you play it. Something that is good. However, when you build this and put it in your empire, it goes in front of you and it stays there. It never goes back into your hand. And so you have this very powerful card where once you actually put it out for the points that it's worth, at that point, it no longer serves that function. It's just going to be a point card, which is like something that I really, really like about this game. And I'll come back to that, as I said. Now, you might notice that here it says requirements. It says it needs a source of water, and it has to be an air platform exclusively, meaning that you have to build it off of the air platform of the 3. And it might be tough to see. Here, I'll grab some. There's an ocean platform, a sky platform, and a land platform. And so you can see here, so you can see there's like the land platform, and you can notice that the platforms, all of them, have a 0 population. You're going to be building these and putting them in front of you, but all they're doing is basically allowing you to build other cards on top of them. And so like you can see, like the Grand Hall, you have to have a sky platform, and then use sky platform to expand your empire among the stars. And even these have requirements. So like you can see here, if you want an ocean platform, you have to have an ocean card. If you want a sky platform, you have to have a link. If you want a land platform, you have to have a source of water. And so that's another thing that I really, really liked about this. It has a Civilization feel to it. For those of you that play Civilization games, usually is a game where they tell you, it's like, oh, well, if you want to be able to build a city hall, you need a code of laws or whatever. So you have this tiered structure of the cards that you go through them. And as you build them, and once again, those cards don't really have powers, but like, say, here's this boat. Let me just show you an ocean card really quick. And I'm going to show you like water towers. So here you go. Like an ocean card, if you have oceans, once again, it does not have any population to it, obviously, but this supplies unlimited water to ocean cards. So if the card is an ocean card, so basically, if you need a source of water, this will do that for you. And here, that's a boat, sorry. The water towers, it supplies all water for 1 link. So when you build these links, and let me grab a link card so you can see what that is as well. So here you have the link. It connects a sky empire to the land or ocean. And so once again, you're building infrastructure. You need a water tower to connect the water to the link. So then the things that you're going to be having in, like say that sky platform that you're going to be using, they need a source of water. That's how you do it. And so once again, like you actually feel like you're kind of building the infrastructure and things like that. So, and then I was just going to show you like a boat card. So like it has a requirement. It's an ocean and population or +1 purchase, +1 coin. And so like there is, during your phase, you will take actions and you will have a buy phase as well. And so like, and normally you can only purchase one thing, but if you have a card that allows you to buy more than one purchase, then you obviously need a card like that. And once again, the boat is worth 50 points. So at some point you might add that to your empire to get those points that it's worth. But, but in the meantime, maybe you want to keep the card. And so I'm keep coming back to that because that is like the cool, really cool thing that prompts the decision making. That prompts is my deck at this point kind of bloated? And remember, whenever you play a deck builder, it's one of those things where you always want to have an idea of what cards are in your hand and what cards are in your draw pile and what cards you've discarded. So you have a fairly good idea of what's coming up. And so, like, a lot of the games that play deck builders, they have a trash mechanism, which basically allows you to destroy cards so you can thin out your deck and have things available to you. Basically on a more repeated basis. You keep the cards you really want, you get rid of the junk, and then you're going to see those cards you like over and over again. This game has that trash mechanism, but you're not actually trashing the card, which is something I always hated. I always hated destroying my card, throwing it away, whatever. When you're trashing the card, you're actually putting it in front of you so you can score those points. A couple other things, and then I'll go to my final thoughts, and I'll tell you why I really dug the game. The mechanism of the game is that everybody starts with 5 coins, like that are 1 coin each. And you notice they cost 0, so if you ever have a situation where you don't have any money and you want to do a buy, you can always buy a 1 coin card to add it to your deck. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can. But on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to draw 5 cards. In this case, since it's the very first turn of the game, you're going to draw 5 1 coin cards. If you have a card that has a maneuver on it, like, if it's like, just like, let's say you have a submarine, plus 2 cards. You could play the submarine for plus 2 cards and draw 2 more cards out of your deck. If you don't have any maneuver cards, what you'll do then is you'll skip that completely, and then you will go to your placing phase. Oh, I'm sorry, you go to your purchasing phase first. Now, when you purchase, you just pick a card out in front of you, and you add it to your discard pile. However, if you have the prerequisites and if you have the ability to place that card into your empire, you can choose a card that you just bought to just put it in your empire right away. It won't even go to your discard pile if you choose not to. That's completely up to you. After you do that, after you get done with all your purchases, you will do your placings. You can do up to 3 placings, meaning you take cards and put them into your empire and put them in front of you, so then they're scoring you points. And you can do up to 3 of those during your entire turn. So that, like including the ones that you just purchased. So if you purchased a card and did a placing, you couldn't do 3 more placings from your hand. You could do 2 more placings in that situation. After you do that, you get rid of whatever cards you have left in your hand, put them in your discard pile, and then you're going to draw 5 more. And just like any other deck builder, if you have a situation where you run out of cards in your draw pile, you'll take all the cards from your discard, shuffle them up, and then draw 5 cards on top. And then, of course, the next person goes. It goes around like that and around like that until, as I said, 3 of these grand halls get built, and then you're going to see who scored the most points. Now, one last thing, there are cards that allow you to attack and defend, and I just wanted to show you those really quickly. There is a Saboteur card. So, it gives you +1 maneuver, +1 action, or it disables a link, meaning that you basically, because you actually, when you build your empire, you build things off of the link. You put that link down, and then you kind of build that off of it. So everything's kind of attached to that link. Makes sense, right? So when you have the Saboteur, you go ahead and you put that on the link, and you say, I am sabotaging that particular spot in your empire. Now, if you have a guard card, you can go ahead and you can show that in your hand. You show it, you show it to everybody else at the table, and then you would cause this not to work, and this person takes it and puts it in their discard pile immediately. If you don't show one of these, then this Saboteur stays on that particular link until that person draws a guard card and can show it, and then at which point then the card goes back to the person who placed it. If the game ends while the Saboteur is on a particular link, you don't get to score the points for that particular link because of the fact that, like, the game ends. So you could have, like, 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever buildings off of that link, but if somebody manages to, disable it, and then, like, the game ends before you have a chance to get a guard card in your hand and cause it to go away, you're going to lose a lot of points. And I really like that, because then it comes down to a timing situation between you and the other players and trying to figure those things out. So, there's a lot of reasons why I really enjoyed this one a lot, and it takes, as I've said, a lot, for deck builders to inspire me, and this one did. But I'll talk more about that in my final thoughts. Alright, thank you very much for taking the time to watch that overview of the game Empires of Steam. As I said, if you've played deck building games in any way, shape, or form over the last 5-6 years or whatever, you are going to have a really good idea of how to play this game, and it isn't going to take you very long to learn how, or teach people as well, especially if they have familiarity with the mechanism. Now, there's a couple things about why I liked it. I mean, obviously I talked about the theme and I talked about the art, both which I think are amazing. But the big thing for me, and I alluded to this more than once, is the fact that I really liked the fact that there really wasn't a trash. The trash mechanism was something different. It wasn't, throwing away the cards. It was the fact that you're actually, building it up in front of you. And so, and I like that because you can actually, there are a lot of deck building games out there. You have a situation where it's like you're never quite sure how many points somebody has, so it's like, they're like, you're playing Thunderstone and they're killing monsters and you have kind of an idea which monster they're killing, or, it's like, how many estates does that person have, in Dominion, or things like that, so you're having an idea, perhaps, of how many victory points they have. But in here, because of the fact that you're kind of building up your little empire and you're building up your little links and whatever, you can kind of just see, like, right on who is winning. And you don't have that, like, kind of surprise loss, if you will, where you thought, I thought I was doing really well. I didn't realize you were doing amazing, in comparison. And, I know a lot of people like to lie in the weeds, if you will, in games, and, like, you're just like, haha, you had no idea I had 17 more points than you, because you weren't paying attention. I do like the fact that it is open knowledge as far as the points that are being scored. Now, the other thing about it that I really liked is the fact that you're actually building something. Scott Nicholson once remarked to me that he enjoyed playing games where, when he got done, you could kind of look at what you had did. You can look at what you had done, and you could see something there. You could, like, see that you had created a world or a farm or, just whatever, in the games. And I agree with that. I think, games in a lot of ways, especially with deck building games, they're kind of abstract. And when you have a situation where you lessen that abstractiness, if you will, that is not a word, then you kind of, like, put more soul in the game. You put more immersion, for me, anyway. And then, like I said, once you get done, you have this creation. You have this thing you can look at and you can say, huh, that's really cool. I'm really proud of that. And that for me means a lot, because because me, it's self-satisfying to see that. But also, as I said, my number one gaming partner in my life right now is my daughter, and she doesn't go for the abstract very well. I mean, it's just like it doesn't snag her. She wants to create something. She wants to put a link down on a platform and then, like, build these little, like, shops and businesses or whatever on that, so she can kind of, and I can tell she's, like, kind of imagining this world or whatever that she's creating in the sky or underneath the water or whatever, and her mind's kind of going a mile a minute as she's flowing through that. And since it engages her, she'll play the game with me, and then I can actually get it played, and I can tell you people what I think of it. So, as I said, I really liked the theme. I liked the fact that it didn't try to do more than it was. So, like, as far as, like, learning how to play the game, it didn't say, we're going to spin deck building on its ear. No, it didn't do that. It said, you know what, we have really good art, we have really good balance, we have really good theme, and we have this cool, like, building part of the game that you aren't really, expecting. And it's just going to be flat out fun. And it is. It is just a very, very good game, and it's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see the more cards. Usually I'm like, okay, this is all I need with deck builders. It's like, I don't need 17 more expansions. But with this one, I'm really looking forward to seeing how else this alternative world is going to, like, grow and become more complex and have more options as far as, the world that I can actually create when I play. So, there you go. That is Empires of Steam. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, I am the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.